Hi guys, Sandy Ingram here. Welcome to the Education Matrix channel. I'm a retired expat traveling the world, now in Mexico, registered with IRS since 1999. You can find my tax course for small business owners and freelancers on Udemy. There are 7 major factors that control the Iraqi dinar rate exchange. First, we're going to start off with tax trivia before our latest and breaking Iraqi news. Today's tax trivia question is easy. Joe believes he will be taxed on $140,000 profit for his small home business. He provides internet marketing for small business owners around the world. He has already purchased his condo, a new car, and all major items for his lifestyle. So showing a substantial profit on his tax return is not necessary. In other words, he's not trying to qualify for credit. How can Joe lower his tax liability in the last quarter of this year for next year's tax return? A. Invest in stocks. B. Purchase real estate, rental real estate. C. Spend down the profit on business assets. D, A, and E. I will provide the correct answer at the end of the video. Careful on this one. Now for the latest updates in Iraqi news. In this article, Iraq struggles to maintain power balance. During the Prime Minister's meeting in Baghdad, the Green Zone, rockets were fired towards the U.S. Embassy. There was no damage, but the attack was read as a message from Iran-backed militants to the Iraqi government to stop resisting Iran's demands in regards to expelling U.S. forces from the country. Now, let me give you a real good idea of the big picture. Iraq is in the middle between Iran and the U.S. government. And unfortunately, Iran-backed militants provide a constant and dangerous reminder that they want Iraq to expel U.S. troops. Life is not that simple for Iraq or for any country who has been through what Iraq has experienced. The oil-rich country is feeling the heat from all sides. Iran trying to force their will, the U.S. wanting their demands met, Turkey bombing Iraqi villages in northern Iraq where terrorists are hiding, water shortage due to Turkey's building a new dam to provide electricity for Turkish citizens, OPEC providing limitations on the amount of crude oil Iraq can export due to the world health issues, high numbers of ill Iraqis due to health crisis, pensions being cut because the government doesn't have the money to pay, since 95% of all government funding is provided by the oil industry, all because their leader made a bad decision and attacked another small oil-rich nation, Kuwait, a leader that the Iraqis did not vote in. Terrorists are hiding and organizing within Iraq's borders. This is why Turkey is bombing and attacking the mountain areas in northern Iraq. So are you getting a real good feel of all the heat that is coming into Iraq from all different sides for all different political and financial reasons? Okay, here is some alarming news. Iraq's prime minister was to visit Saudi Arabia, but the visit was postponed because the king of Saudi Arabia was suddenly taken to the hospital. And let's see if I can share some more information on this without getting into copyright trouble. Here we go. So you see, meetings could not go forward. This would have been Iraq's new prime minister's first international travels to help his country. Remember a couple of videos ago when I shared with you how a segment of the Turkish government placed a map of Iraq divided on Twitter, and Iraq became very, very upset. Well, this article relates to why the Turkish official did this to Iraq. There are two groups within the Kurdistan part of Iraq, and these two groups are fighting among themselves on how to handle Baghdad and the oil situation. Now, the Kurdish region has its own parliament and government. Difference between, and there's two dominant parties. This is why I am thinking Turkey placed the map onto Twitter, because they see a serious division within Iraq over the oil and everything else. The link to this article is in the description. You want to get a good feel for the articles that I present to you, because they all have to do with Iraq's revalue, reinstatement, redenominating, or float. During this past week, Saudi Arabia, Iraq signed joint investment agreements. Now, these investment agreements pertaining to energy, sports, education, and health sector. This is before the king of Saudi Arabia got sick and was rushed to the hospital. Borders are reopening in Iraq, and this is good because this means trade is happening, and this is good for all of the people in the region. Iraq's Kurdistan builds waste recycling factories, and this build will begin very, very soon. Here is some really good news. Iraq is preparing to start up the oil fields so they can prepare to produce oil under the OPEC agreement. This is an article you definitely want to read. Iran, Iraq to finalize foreign currency deal. Now for the correct answer to the tax trivia question, how Joe can legally lower his taxes. The correct answer is C. A, buying stocks would not decrease Joe's taxes. B, yes, purchasing real estate would decrease his taxes, but he could lose the $25,000 depreciation due to his high income. C is the best answer, and hundreds of thousands of small business owners use this technique every year. But you must first learn the rules or pay a CPA $300 an hour to implement it for you. Now, let's briefly look at the USD IQD rate exchange.